What's good, everybody? What's going on, man?
Woo!
For the Stephen Qualls II. Wow, it's your boy, Stephen Qualls II, aka Mr. Qualified. I will let this hungry and full brother introduce himself
No,
today.
no, no.
I usually
Totally not eating. Totally not eating. JJ's at 12:30 in the morning, in the afternoon, 12:20. Pardon me. Uh, hello, everybody. Miguel, once again. Let's just get straight to it because we were. I wish we caught what we were just talking about before tape now, but starting off,
yeah,
uh, end of season is looking crazy. Like 5 games left, crazy schedules, crazy stakes on both sides. Like East, you have like seeding,
yeah.
Bucks, Philly, Boston, all battling, all playing each other. Funny enough, in these last few games for that top spot. The West, we don't even really gotta say like just what happened yesterday in terms of like the outcomes of a lot of those games. Crazy important. Like every game is teetering now. So yeah, start us off.
Man, I don't know where to start. Honestly, truly, we can start anywhere. But yeah, no, we can start in the West because the West is, yeah, well, because it's so much to get into.
Yeah.
The Lakers are the seventh seed. The Lakers
Hey,
are the
hey,
seventh
hey,
seed.
predictions come true in terms of like them looking like they're gonna make the playoffs. Big game yesterday against the Timberwolves.
Big game.
Uh,
Big game by
huge.
AD too. Huge game by AD.
Yep.
Huge game
Oh,
by
oh my goodness. Tweeted out. I was like, oh, this is where we're gonna see the damn AD tweets, aren't we? Because rolled his ankle in like what the middle of the
bro.
third,
Bro,
and he
when
was
I
down
saw it,
and a half. They like it's like, oh, Lakers get a steal. So it's like, okay, they have to finish this playoff. And then they go back to the down court, they're about to foul, they turn it over and they're like, well, the Lakers gotta score again. AD's still clutching his ankle, and I'm like, this is, I'm seeing the tweets roll in like this is it, not like this. Come on now, and then timeout comes miraculous comeback, but my God, like,
I saw that. I saw that live, man, and I was just like, please don't tell me this is happening. I was like,
yeah.
please don't tell me this man is getting injured at this juncture of the game, in this juncture of the season at that. Because it's just like literally, I'm not trying to hear the narrative. I'm not trying to hear the storylines of if
AD is
AD,
healthy.
if
Yeah.
AD. I'm sick of it. I'm tired of it. But he seemed good. Maybe it was just a really bad twist. Maybe he ices it, whatever, and it's cool. Hopefully that's the case. I can't imagine it being something since he was able to play on it and get around, and he didn't seem to be moving too gingerly on it. It should be good, but yeah. Thankfully, it wasn't anything super serious. But huge win. I I don't know how I feel about. I don't know how I like the Lakers with LeBron, which I know is a very weird statement. I know it's a very weird statement to make right now, but
Interesting.
they looked they looked so good with him not there. And it does. I'm not saying that he shouldn't be playing because obviously he should. I'm just saying that the adjustment period to him playing now, going into potentially the play in and the playoffs, is just it's like they kind of have to find the rhythm again, and they may not
Yeah.
have games to afford to do that in losses. So that's my only kind of fear, because when they lost that first game in Chicago, especially in LA, I was extremely confused. I said, I don't understand why this is an L. And granted, they haven't lost since then, and they've won. They've only, I think that Chicago Bulls loss was their only loss in like the last maybe 6 or 7 games or something like that. But
Yeah.
they'll probably figure it out. But I just think it's been interesting to see that adjustment be made. But they made the comment last night. Actually, their guard play is great. Actually,
Yeah. I mean, between Dennis Schroeder, you have Austin Reeves has been playing, a lot better from the beginning of the season. I really like Vanderbilt for them. That's just someone else that can like really clamp up, play defense on a lot of different guys that saves legs for LeBron and AD to kind of do what they need to on offense. D'Lo, I mean, just having a surplus of these guys as opposed to like one fat contract to like Russ and some pieces that didn't fit. Like this is what we talked about at that last break. Like they have a lot more guys that are looking like the types of basketball players they want. Now it's just up for LeBron and AD to stay healthy and, be able to run with them, because I feel like that's it. Like, they're slowing the offense down as to where when they were out, like, they're able to just kind of run and gun and the ball's like popping a little bit more. Could be the Ewing effect. Could just be that those guys like to move up and down the court a little bit. I like to see like the stats to see if like their pace of play went up. But, eye test wise, I feel like, those young guys can just move around the court a lot more. With like LeBron, it's, the ball's sticking a little bit more than most possessions when LeBron's like not in the game. So I don't know. It's interesting. They're looking like they're starting to get it. I feel like they have to play LeBron though, just to get him to the point to where you can play like solid playoff minutes. So I feel like it's a double-edged sword. It's like, damn if you do, damn if you don't.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I think that it's not that LeBron can't be the focal point, but I think, and what I've kind of seen LeBron start to do, at least I saw him do it in the game against the Timberwolves. I mean, LeBron has always been great at picking his spots. So the ball doesn't have to stick the entire game. And there's a lot of trust there with Schroeder. Like, Schroeder's played with both of them before. There's a lot of trust with Reeves, obviously, a lot of trust with D'Lo as well. Like I said, great guard play, and the two stars trust those guards. So I've seen Bron wave off and say, go to AD side. Like, we chilling over here, go to AD side. Or Bron will make it clear, like, we're going to run this play. Like, I think they ran the same set where Schroeder would bring it up, give it to Bron at the top of the key, and Bron would either ISO or do pick and roll with AD. So or Schroeder would. So it's just like they're going to figure it out, and they have the weapons and they have the floor spacing to make things work. And they're actually relatively deeper than they were at the beginning of the season. I mean, they can go about 8 or 9 deep if I'm not mistaken, but maybe 8 because Mo Bamba's out. But like a legitimate, but you got Troy Brown. I'm not sure if he's starting or not. But you got Beasley, you got Rory. So they have a good 8. Like, their 8-man rotation for the playoffs should be pretty good. I don't think they catch Golden State for the 6th seed, just because Golden State has more home games than they do away games in their last 5. But
they can't win an away game.
Yeah, barely. They definitely struggled. So we'll see. Speaking of Golden State, though, so if Golden State stays in the 6th seed, right, which I don't know, they're tied with the Clippers right now. So they could potentially, but what I've heard is Golden State wants the 6th seed because they want the Sacramento matchup first round. That's what
they like that running. They like to run and gun. But I mean, like, I guess so too. I would want the most green team to see the playoffs. The first playoff berth since the 90s, like, that's the team I want to see. Like, someone that doesn't have like the playoff experience, like, in terms of players that have been there, like, not a lot of them have been. I feel like they have favorable matchups, like, but on the flip side, like, Sacramento's really hot. So I would like to see that as a fan of the NBA. It seems like it'd be a bloodbath, though. It's just like, who's going to shoot the hottest? And I guess that's maybe where Golden State's like, yeah, we have Steph. Of course it's going to be us. But, it'll be interesting.
So here's my thing. I understand why that would be their most favorable matchup. Because if they do get the 5th seed, you get Phoenix first round, which, especially when healthy, probably not the most favorable matchup for them. If they were to fall to 7th, you get Memphis. I don't know if that's the matchup they prefer. They feel like the underdog. They don't feel like the underdog in the matchup. We want that.
How far away are we from this? Well, what needs to happen? There's too many variables at this point.
So
even still just 5 games.
The Warriors are a game and a half ahead of the Lakers and the Pelicans, for that matter. And they have 2 games on the Timberwolves. So essentially the Warriors would have to lose probably like 3 out of their last 5. And the Lakers might have to win out for them to fall. Because I do believe the Lakers have the tiebreaker over Golden State, if I'm not mistaken. if
Okay.
it was to come down to that. What's the Warriors' next game? They play Denver tomorrow. They play OKC on Tuesday. They play Sacramento on Friday. And then they got Portland on next Sunday.
So Portland, we'll see. Depends on what they do for those first three. Those first three, so many implications. Denver possibly rests a lot of their guys.
Why?
OKC. Oh, why? No. I guess maybe to pivot, throw a little question in there right now. What do you feel about teams intentionally sitting guys for the purpose of making the standings look like what they look like? Not saying that Denver intentionally sat out 3 of their 5 starters like a couple nights, but maybe they don't want to see the Lakers in the playoffs for some reason. Maybe they see an opportunity to have other games where teams that they face win so that they can rise in the rankings and see more favorable matchups in the playoffs. Like, what do you feel about teams possibly intentionally skewing the data this far in the season? Do you think that they should just play it out, play for wins, try and build continuity for the playoffs, or do you see value in maybe possibly sinking games so things get a little bit more murky in the playoffs?
I mean, teams are definitely going to do what is in their best interest. Jokic hasn't missed that many games this season. So if you did want to rest him for what you assume to be a long playoff run, potentially a finals run, like that's your goal, I get it. I understand it to a degree. Do I feel like if your intention is solely for the standings, though, I guess I can't be mad at it, but it's also but they're also in a position to do that, I guess, as well. Like nobody's catching them for the 1 seed, right? So,
Yep.
They don't have that to worry about. And if you are trying to avoid a potentially difficult or catastrophic first round matchup, then maybe you do. I don't know. But
Yeah.
I guess it just depends on where you are and which team. Because obviously, if you're a team like fighting and in the hunt, you don't have that luxury. But if you are the number 1 seed and have a decent enough lead, maybe you had the luxury to do that. But
Well, for the Warriors, then them intentionally possibly trying to lose a couple games so that they can get that 6th seed against Sacramento. Do you feel like then it's just like you're playing with fire at that point?
well, in the West, I feel like you're playing with fire regardless, because I don't think that there's an easy matchup that anyone is
Easy
going to get.
playoff.
There's no matter how 1 through 8 ends up being decided after the play-in, I don't think that 1 and 2 seed, you got to think, if your choices as Denver or Memphis, right? If your choices as Denver or Memphis is between the Lakers, the Pelicans, the Timberwolves, and the Thunder, Denver probably has more favorable matchups because there aren't too many. Like the Lakers are their scariest matchup because they actually have somebody to guard Jokic. And Jokic can't guard AD whatsoever. But every other team, the Pelicans, the Timberwolves, and the Thunder, I mean, yes, you have Cat and you have Gobert, but I also don't know. I don't know how Gobert fares against Jokic, to be honest. I don't know if he gives him trouble or gives him fits or not. But Jokic, like the Nuggets have more favorable matchups than Memphis would in between 1 and 2, but nothing's going to be easy. Like none of that first round matchup isn't going to be a cakewalk in my mind, unless Denver just really comes out, firing on all cylinders, showing people that, they for real. But I don't think there's a easy out to look forward to. So, but I mean, I guess you pick the best situation for your team, or as much as you can control it. But I don't know. It feels like you're kind of picking between apples and oranges there.
Yeah, true. Because you'll never know. You'll never know until you get to that playoff series what that is going to be like, what matchups are favorable, what they exploit. But they've seen the Lakers before. They lost, and sometimes you got to face your demons if you're going to get to a chip. So
I I would love to see the Lakers just for the sake of their script not be in the play in. But I think even if they fall in the play in, they have a favorable. They're more than likely to get 7th. And if they get Memphis in the first round, that's going to be fun. Actually, them and Memphis in the first round is going to be really, really fun because
Watch out for Shannon Sharp.
the Lakers have Houston, Utah, the Clippers, the Suns, and Utah.
Not, all teams have serious playoff implications.
Well, Utah doesn't anymore. Not for real.
Not truly, but I mean, how far are they out?
Crazy things will have to happen because Utah hasn't been playing great. Utah's only a game and a half out of the 10 seed, so we could see crazy things happen. Especially the real wild card here that we haven't talked about yet is Dallas. That's who we haven't talked about yet.
Yeah, that's the thou who shall not be named right now because oh my god, it's happening. It's the nightmare that we thought might have happened is happening.
So, we said this. We said that offense for them wasn't going to be the issue. We said that defense was going to be the issue, and their goal is to outscore teams. And they just haven't been able to just outscore teams and not play any defense whatsoever. So
where are the stops? Like
they're gonna have
it's just not feasible. It's like now you're stuck with Christian Wood and Jason Kidd, Lord. It's what do you do? You're in no man's land. Like if you're Mark Cuban, what do you do? I know he has the infinite money glitch, but the foresight in some of these moves is just lacking.
Absolutely. And I don't know what this looks like long term. They're going to have a really, really big offseason ahead of them in regards to figuring out how they're going to keep Luka happy and ultimately keep Luka wanting to be there. Because I think Luka wants to be there, but you're going to have to get talent around him. And I don't know if I don't think there's an issue of people wanting to play with Luka, but I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the word around the league with that is, but that'll be interesting to see. They have Miami. Yeah. They have Miami, Atlanta. Oh no. They have Miami, Atlanta, Sacramento, Chicago, and San Antonio.
Okay, so a fairly easy schedule, but
Miami
never know.
Is beatable. Miami is beatable. Atlanta is beatable, but they're so middle of the pack. It's crazy. You don't know which Atlanta you're gonna see.
I think it's nuts too because are both of those teams also playing for a playoff spot?
Yeah, they are.
That's the one thing because it's there are no given games at the end of the season. Some teams are playing for their playoff lives to be alive, to be in the play-in. So, what are we, what type of ball are we going to see? Are we going to 1, 2, 3 Cancun or are we going all in, So,
hey man,
there's
going to be a great week of basketball. It should be some really, really competitive basketball.
Did you say the Bulls were on one of those games?
They have the Bulls. Their second to last game of the season is the Bulls.
Forget Patrick Beverley's there. He's just here to mess things up. He's just
So it'll No, a lot of these teams. It's gonna come down to. I think it's gonna come down to a lot of tiebreakers. And then you're gonna have a lot of these teams playing each other where it's the winner of that game is gonna solidify their spot. That's what it's gonna come down to. Or at least particular seeding, because I think Toronto and Atlanta are tied right now, and Atlanta is 8 and Toronto's 9, but Chicago's coming, and if Chicago makes the playoffs, I'm low key gonna be salty as hell because I definitely did not think
about how terrible they are for so long, and then they make the playoffs. Okay, Patrick Beverley's just that little Band-Aid to patch everything up. I guess taking our attention to the East now,
Right.
we could start with the top and go down just to get more dramatic. But at the top, I personally went to a game with heavy playoff implications. Uh, you know, Bucks versus the Celtics. It was.
It was a
I
massacre,
asked a
man.
lot of friends, like, could you go to the game? No one could go. This is a test of time. Like, if you're in Milwaukee, you know me. There was a handful, at least a good 10 that I asked to go to this game. Great game. No one knew what was going to happen. But somehow the guys were like, yeah, no one can go. Everyone's busy. That's fine. Well, I asked Akers. He went to go see my guy Spike. Shouts out, I'm going to coach him in a little bit. He had to go to his game. I went alone. I walked downtown. It was a nice day. Had some food, got some cluckery chicken down there, a $16 craft beverage. Far too much. But I was like, you know what? The tickets are free. Why not? Why not? Sit down for the game, second quarter. It's been a good ball game up until then, and then it's all going downhill in front of my eyes. We're getting outscored at halftime or by Jaylen Brown and Tatum alone. In the third quarter, they got 70, we got 69. Like, it was Al Horford doesn't miss when he's in Milwaukee. I don't understand the magic that happens when, and they don't even have Grant Williams. God bless. He dotted us up in game 7 last year. Like, I'm sitting next to some random civilians, random bystanders just talking like, why do we always do this? What primetime Bucks just seem to make it happen when, you least expect it, when it'll hurt the most. And that game was disrespectful. That was, they came out with bad intentions, and, that game just brought it that much closer for that 1 seed. So we both play Philly soon. There's a couple, probably 3-4 more games for each team. That's gonna be nasty work towards the end of the season if we somehow slip out of that 1 seed due to a game where we just, granted, 5 games, 7 days off a back-to-back where Drew dropped 51 and Giannis dropped a 38, 17, and 12 game, still, low limited minutes, 51 points on 32 minutes, granted. But that's a big game to drop. That's a big game to drop still.
It's a massive game to drop. There are a multitude of reasons why we probably came out flat. But man, I mean, I don't think it's not time to panic, right? Like, it's just an unfortunate event that not only did we lose the game, but got massacred on our home floor. So that is what that is. The reality is obviously, because Philly is the reason why the Bucks need to keep the number 1 seed is because Boston and Philly both, for whatever reason, give us the most fits. Those are the 2 teams in the Eastern Conference that give us the most fits. Now, do you have the second and third, in whatever order you want to put them, best players in the Eastern Conference and 2 top 10 players in the league on both of those teams respectively? Absolutely. So that plays a role in it. But yep. Giannis, I feel like Giannis has another level. Like, in the playoffs, we will see another level come from Giannis. I wholeheartedly believe
100%.
The X factor also will be Middleton, because Middleton has been slowly returning to form. But the question now is, 1, can Middleton be a decent enough defender, maybe not to guard Tatum or Brown for the majority of a game, but can he be a decent enough defender to where he's not a liability out on the court and can spend a couple possessions at least on them? Like, there has to be some give and take where your Drew and your Jays like get a break from guarding them. So Middleton's going to be the X factor in that, but we'll see how the rest of the games go. We talked about both Milwaukee and Boston has Philly coming up. I don't think Philly catches either one because they're currently 2.5 behind Boston and 4 behind us. So I don't think they catch either one of us. But I mean, those are 2 big games. God forbid Philly wins both. You know,
Oh
and
no! Don't put that out in the air, please.
I'm not trying. I'm just saying, like, if that
Enough.
was to happen,
I'm sorry, Jason Tatum hit 8 threes on us. So yeah, not trying to see any of that. 8 for 10. Yuck.
no, like they were just on a heater that game. Like it was ridiculous. Which was the same. They were really on a heater in Game 7 as well, and they can get hot like that, but we've also seen them get cold. But
they've been against us. We've seen them get cold against other teams. I don't think I've seen a cold game from them against us yet. I like as a Bucks fan, I can't remember when I was like, damn, Al Horford minutes.
Well,
like he's every other night. I can't like. I remember made a bet on him in Prize Picks. All I needed was 8 points from Al Horford total. Couldn't do it. He had 12 the first half against us. Look
at it this way.
Tell me.
The team follows Tatum, right? We could agree on that. The team follows Tatum. Tatum is now, Kendrick Perkins said recently that Tatum is on the same tier as Giannis. I wouldn't say that just yet, but I do not think that Tatum is extremely far behind at all. So
he's who Chris Middleton was to the Celtics, and he is now to us. Jason Tatum is to that. No, you know how Celtics fans are like, Chris Middleton just seems to have a way to dog us at certain times. That's his reputation there. Jason Tatum's reputation is now that against us.
But past that, because that's just on a minuscule level. Like I'm talking about Tatum.
That's on a team by team level. I can say that he's a superstar against us. He's that level to Giannis when he's facing us. But like he's that far away. He's like
Tatum. If Giannis is a top 2 player, arguably in the league, because I think if you ask a lot of people, he's going to be 1 or 2. Before
Tatum is top 10 for sure.
You might potentially have to argue Tatum being 5. He's 5. He would be 5, but he might be top 5.
That's why I said top 10 conservatively. Like, you know,
if someone wants to argue Tatum at 5, especially after this season, I would hear it. I would hear it out. And if it were made, I could concede. So I just say that to say that like Tatum, like Giannis is a target, right? Giannis already has a ring. Giannis is being talked about as like top 2 player in the league. Tatum is coming. We've been saying Tatum is coming for the last 2 years, and he was in the finals last year. I've been saying Tatum is coming for the last 2 years.
No. I 100% hear you. He's only 19. Like,
but again, this 5th year? I think this is his 5th year. So he's entering his prime. So it is. So every time he plays the Bucks, it is like I'm trying to submit myself. Like I'm trying to get my ring too. I'm trying to be right there. So Giannis is there's gonna have to be a response. Like Giannis is gonna have to either Tatum is gonna come and say I'm here too, or Giannis is gonna be like, not yet, little bro. It depends. It all depends. Like so I feel like that's gonna be the challenge for Giannis if there was to be a personal challenge within the matter. But
Tatum was close. He boomed me. He boomed LeBron. He's only 19.
He's been coming, you know. But outside of those top 2, Philly is in such an interesting place to me because I don't think Philly has a shot to come out of the East because of the route they would have to take. Even if and for example, if Philly does have to play Boston in the semifinals, Philly doesn't match up against Boston well either. Because
who just said that I don't think Boston makes it to the finals because I don't think they make it past Philly. There was some analyst that just recently said this. Name is evading me right now, but
I don't know who they are, but they're stupid because
they've had their number for so long.
Not only that, like just the way the teams are built this year. Now, granted, Philly's looked really good this season. Don't get me wrong, but they don't have the bodies really. Like they have different people they could throw at Tatum and Brown, but again, they don't really have defensive stoppers either. And on top of that, Harden would have to guard in that series, and he can't. He just won't. And I don't know if Harden can step up, especially against Boston's defense. I don't know if Harden can take that. I don't know if Harden has another level that we've seen him have before. I don't know if he has that to like if Joel's going to raise his even higher than where he's already at. I don't know if we see Harden take the same leap. Now, granted, what could help that out is if Harden and Maxey were to both take smaller leaps together to help out Joel. But even then, again, back to the defensive piece, when it comes to Boston, it's just not something that I think is going to favor them. So I don't know. I mean, they do have PJ, but I mean, really past PJ, they have a few other bodies. And I wanted to make the argument that Joel could just be that dominant, but the dominance he would have to show to actually come out of that series, we're talking historic numbers. Like he'd have to carry Philly on his back to do that. And I just don't see.
I feel like 46, 18, 9. Like I need to
he'd easily have to average 35. Bare minimum. Had to average 35.
Yeah.
And he could, right?
Because they're not getting the stops that Boston is,
Right. So that's I think that's where Philly's ceiling is. But interestingly enough, God forbid, not putting his energy out there at all. If things were to reverse, Philly matches up better with us than they do Boston, which will make me more scared for that matchup. Not scared, like I think we can come out of it, but I think they push us further than we would want to be pushed, knowing that will be the series we have next.
I think that we are only the better matchup to Boston because Boston is their worst matchup. Like, I still see us coming out of that. Like, I see no fear in Boston. I'm sorry, not Boston, but Philly. Yeah, Boston is going to be our true boogeyman this year if there's anyone to overcome.
No. Philly's
and then Denver if they come up the West. Because why? How?
I don't know. So, but yeah, I mean, the rest of the East is really interesting. Randall going down with the sprained ankle is going to be huge. If he's able to come back for the playoffs, the Knicks could come out of that series. The Knicks could come out of the 4-5 matchup if they're healthy. They could. Cleveland's going to have at 4? Huh?
Do they have at 4? 4-5?
Let
me check.
I don't know who they start. Because I know they got Sims over there. I know they got
Cleveland.
Oh, sorry. Mobley and Allen. I think, Jared Allen is back. So
it'd be fun.
It's gonna be a fun series. I think that easily goes 6 or 7, to be honest. I think they're two very evenly matched teams. So I think either one of them could come out of that matchup. Brooklyn, if they stay 6, I don't how far are they in front of So Brooklyn has 2 games on Miami. The way Miami's been playing, I don't know if they catch them. So let's just say Brooklyn stays 6. They probably lose. They probably lose in 6 to Philly. I think Brooklyn manages a couple games. I don't know.
So I was going to throw some out in the universe. Miami beating Boston if they stay at 7.
The Miami team is so unpredictable.
They're just so wild.
Because I don't know how they beat Boston 4 times. I don't see how they do that 4 times. I don't think it would be a dull series per se, only because I think I think Miami could. Miami's tough too because Miami doesn't have the defenders. I mean, you could put Jimmy on one of them, but I mean, it's just they just don't have enough. They, like you said, their roster will stand out. So, but that would be interesting to see them. I actually would rather see Brooklyn play Boston at 7. I think that would be a better matchup. I actually wouldn't mind seeing Miami play Philly either. So, but
I gotta check out those last few games from Brooklyn and Boston because I bet those are great.
Yeah, no, Brooklyn won the last game in Boston. If I'm not mistaken, that's the last that was their last meeting.
Love it. I love that. Let me check this.
But
Yeah,
yes,
the Celtics 115 and 105. Because I
Brooklyn,
just feel like they match up. Yeah, you're
they
right.
do.
They really match
Brooklyn
well.
matches up really well with Boston. Now, do they have? I don't know if they have enough. I don't know if Dinwiddie and Bridges can match the offensive output for Brown and Tatum. But
Yeah.
defensively though, they have the bodies.
Yes.
They have the body. So that would be a really, really interesting matchup. But I'm looking at Brooklyn's last games here, and Brooklyn they have Utah, and I think they have, let me see, they have Utah, they have Minnesota, Detroit, and Orlando.
Who's
And
that for? That's for Brooklyn?
yeah,
That's very four four should be won games in their mind, probably. I wonder, do they look past them?
I does Brooklyn look past the games?
I feel like they say they won't, but some of these teams, you might feel like, oh yeah, we'll get Orlando.
I mean,
You know?
so okay. So I'm trying to think. They have but Brooklyn's last game of the season is Philly. So yeah, so they get
I wonder
Utah, they get
hear
Utah,
me out.
Minnesota.
I wonder if Miami is close. Do they say, hey, enjoy that 6 seed? We'll win our first game of the play-in and be done.
Maybe, but like, does Miami want Boston or do they want Philly? If I'm Miami, I want Philly.
Yeah, honestly. So then Miami might win their last one.
But Miami
Bucks losing
has
that last one.
Dallas, Detroit, Philly, Washington, and Orlando.
Very similar schedules too. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, this is gonna be
So
crazy. You know, it's gonna be fun to see.
they could stay where they're at, or does Brooklyn drop a couple? Because both of them are so they could easily drop games, and I don't know. We'll see. I am a fan of the Raptors making it in, and I think that the way they've been playing this latter half of the season, like even though they didn't make moves at the trade deadline, like that was confusing. But the way they've been playing, the way Scotty's been playing the last few weeks, I think they're going to get 8. But so this is what I want, right? So I want the Raptors to get the 8th seed so them and Miami could play first. Because then if Toronto was to potentially beat Miami in the play-in, then they play Boston. And Boston's going to hate that matchup. But I think it would be a really good first round series. But
That'd be fun.
what that also does is it makes it to where I don't know if I want to say Toronto and Miami are the better two teams that should be in the playoffs. Because I don't necessarily discredit what Chicago has done in these last 2 to 3 weeks, because they've been relatively legit and they've had some really impressive wins. But I would rather see the Bulls beat Atlanta, because I think that would happen. And I would rather see them to play either Miami or Toronto to get in, because I feel like that's the better test. Now, and I just think it's a little bit easier to say, okay, let's knock out Atlanta and then play for that last spot if they don't make the jump. But I don't know. They're a full game behind Toronto and Atlanta. So if Atlanta starts to skid a little bit, maybe Chicago catches them. I don't know. And Washington's going to be out of the running. I don't think they're going to win enough games to make it interesting at the end of the week. So it's really going to come down to those 4 teams. It's just going to come down to seeding basically in the East. But yeah, man, it's I mean, the simple fact that not in both conferences, so much can look different in the next 7 to 8 days.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
in the next 7 to 8
all of it.
days. So much could look different from not so much. Well, the top in the East potentially could. The top in the West is somewhat solidified, but honestly, the Grizzlies are only 2 games behind the Nuggets.
Dog, it's going to be a really close, like, at both conferences. I'm telling you, everyone needs to tune in right now to all these games because they're going to be barn burners down the end of the season.
But yeah, man. So it's if y'all aren't watching basketball this week, I don't know what you're doing. If you call yourself an NBA fan or
Oh,
who's
Sunday too. Sunday they got to check out Caitlin Clark. Check her
oh
out.
my God. Oh yes. Both. I mean,
That's out.
I'm watching the men's games tonight, but definitely watching that championship game. That's gonna be crazy. But yeah, we'll catch up and talk about that as well. But yeah, we're gonna let Emilio good brother get out of here. But man, until next week, until we catch y'all next time. Peace.
Peace.